Number, a desperate boy, asked for help. The billionaire's next move shocked the world. The rain hammered against the cracked windows of the old apartment building as 12-year-old Marcus Williams sat on the edge of his mother's hospital bed. The sterile smell of disinfectant filled the small room, mixing with the sound of machines beeping steadily in the background. His mother, Sarah, looked so fragile under the thin white sheets, her once bright eyes now dulled by pain and exhaustion. "Mom, please don't worry about the money," Marcus whispered, holding her cold hand. "I'll find a way to pay for your treatment." Sarah tried to smile, but the effort seemed to drain what little energy she had left. The doctors had been clear about her condition. Without the expensive surgery and ongoing treatment, she had only weeks to live. The medical bills had already consumed their savings, and the insurance company had denied their claim twice. Marcus had been selling newspapers after school for months, but the few dollars he earned each day were nothing compared to the hundreds of thousands needed for his mother's care. Their small apartment in the roughest part of the city was all they could afford, and even that was becoming impossible to maintain. As he walked home from the hospital that evening, Marcus noticed something different about the usually busy street corner where he sold papers. A sleek black limousine was parked outside the luxury hotel across the street. Through the tinted windows, he could see the silhouette of a man in an expensive suit talking on his phone. The next morning brought more bad news. The hospital administrator, Mrs. Chen, called Marcus into her office with a serious expression on her face. "I'm sorry, Marcus, but without payment by Friday, we'll have to discharge your mother," she said gently. "The hospital board has been patient, but we simply cannot continue providing treatment without some form of payment plan." "Bye," she said. Marcus felt his world crumbling around him. He had 3 days to find $50,000 for the immediate surgery his mother needed. The thought of losing her was unbearable. She was all he had left in the world since his father had died in a construction accident 2 years earlier. Desperate and out of options, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He had read in the local newspaper about Richard Blackwood, the tech billionaire who had recently moved his headquarters to their city. The article mentioned that Blackwood often worked late at his office in the downtown skyscraper that dominated the city skyline. That evening, Marcus put on his cleanest clothes and made his way to the gleaming tower. The security guard at the entrance looked at him with suspicion as he approached the marble lobby. "I need to see Mr. Blackwood," Marcus said, his voice shaking slightly. "It's very important." The guard, a large man named Tony, almost laughed. "Kid, you can't just walk in here and ask to see the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world. You need an appointment." "Please, sir," Marcus pleaded. "My mother is dying, and I need help. I've read that Mr. Blackwood sometimes helps people in need." Tony's expression softened slightly. He had a son around Marcus's age and could see the desperation in the boy's eyes. "Look, kid, I appreciate your situation, but Mr. Blackwood is in back-to-back meetings all evening. Even if I wanted to help you, there's no way he could see you." Marcus refused to give up. He sat down in the lobby and waited. Hours passed as business people in expensive suits walked past him, some giving him curious glances. The cleaning crew came and went, and still Marcus remained in his chair, determined to wait all night if necessary. At nearly midnight, the elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Out stepped a man in his early 50s, tall and impeccably dressed, with graying hair and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Marcus recognized him immediately from the newspaper photos. It was Richard Blackwood himself. Blackwood looked tired from his long day of meetings. But something about the young boy sitting alone in his lobby at such a late hour caught his attention. He walked over to where Marcus was sitting, his expensive shoes clicking against the marble floor. "You're the boy Tony told me about," Blackwood said, his voice deep and measured. "He mentioned you've been waiting here for hours." Marcus jumped to his feet, his heart racing. This was his chance. Perhaps his only chance. "Mr. Blackwood, sir, I know you're very busy, but I really need your help. My mother is dying, and I don't have anyone else to turn to. Blackwood studied the boy's face, noting the determination mixed with fear in his young eyes. What's your name? Son? Marcus Williams, sir. I live about 10 blocks from here with my mom. She has cancer, and the doctors say she needs surgery right away. But we don't have the money. The billionaire was quiet for a long moment, considering the situation. He had built his fortune from nothing, starting as a poor kid himself, who had worked multiple jobs to put himself through college. He understood what desperation felt like, though he hadn't experienced it for many years. How much money are we talking about? Blackwood asked. $50,000 for the surgery, sir, and probably more for the treatments afterward. I know it's a lot of money, but I promise I'll pay you back somehow. I'll work for you, or I'll do anything you need me to do. Blackwood was impressed by the boy's sincerity and determination. In his world of corporate boardrooms and million-dollar deals, it was rare to encounter such genuine emotion and desperation. Marcus, I want you to understand something, Blackwood said carefully. I get hundreds of requests for money every week. People write letters, send emails, and sometimes even show up at my office asking for help. Most of the time, I have my assistants handle these requests because I simply cannot help everyone who needs it. Marcus's heart sank. He had been so hopeful, but it seemed like even the billionaire was going to turn him away. But, Blackwood continued, there's something different about you. The fact that you waited here all night, that you came here yourself instead of writing a letter or sending someone else, tells me something about your character. The elevator doors opened again, and Blackwood's personal assistant, a woman in her 30s with a concerned expression, stepped out. Mr. Blackwood, I've been looking for you everywhere. Security told me you were still in the building, but your driver has been waiting outside for over an hour. It's all right, Jennifer, Blackwood replied. I want you to meet Marcus Williams. Marcus, this is Jennifer Rodriguez, my executive assistant. Jennifer looked confused but extended her hand to Marcus politely. Nice to meet you, Marcus. Jennifer, I want you to clear my schedule for tomorrow morning, Blackwood said. I'll be visiting the city hospital with Marcus to learn more about his mother's situation. Both Jennifer and Marcus looked shocked. Jennifer because her boss had just spontaneously decided to visit a hospital with a child he had just met. And Marcus because the most powerful man in the city was offering to help him. Sir, you have the presentation to the board of directors tomorrow at 9, and the conference call with Tokyo at 11, Jennifer reminded him. Reschedule them, Blackwood said firmly. Some things are more important than business meetings. Marcus felt tears welling up in his eyes. For the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of hope. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I don't know how to repay you for just listening to me. Don't thank me yet, Marcus, Blackwood said. I haven't done anything except agree to learn more about the situation, but I will tell you this. I admire your courage in coming here tonight. Not many people your age would have the determination to sit in a corporate lobby all night, waiting for a stranger to help them. As they walked toward the exit together, Blackwood found himself thinking about his own childhood. He had grown up in poverty, raised by a single mother who had worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table. He remembered the feeling of helplessness when she had gotten sick and they couldn't afford proper medical care. The memory had driven him to work harder and become more successful than he had ever imagined possible. Marcus, I want to ask you something, Blackwood said as they reached the lobby doors. If your mother gets better, what do you want to do with your life? Marcus thought for a moment. I want to become a doctor, sir. I want to help other people the way I hope someone will help my mother. I want to make sure that no other kid has to go through what I'm going through. Blackwood nodded approvingly. The boy's answer revealed a number. A desperate boy asked for help. The billionaire's next move shocked the world. Continued. The morning sun cast long shadows across the hospital corridors as Marcus nervously waited in the lobby. He had arrived early, unsure whether Richard Blackwood would actually show up. At exactly 8 o'clock, a black sedan pulled up to the hospital entrance, and the billionaire stepped out, followed by Jennifer and a man Marcus didn't recognize. Good morning, Marcus, Blackwood said, shaking the boy's hand. This is Dr. Peterson, one of the leading oncologists in the country. I asked him to join us today to review your mother's case. Dr. Peterson was a distinguished man in his 60s, with kind eyes and a reassuring presence. Hello, Marcus. Mr. Blackwood has told me about your situation. I'd like to examine your mother and review her medical records, if that's all right with you. Marcus led them to his mother's room, his heart pounding with nervous energy. Sarah was awake and had managed to sit up in bed, though the effort clearly exhausted her. When she saw the group of well-dressed people entering her room, she looked confused and slightly embarrassed about her appearance. Mom, this is Mr. Blackwood, the businessman I told you about, Marcus said softly. And this is Dr. Peterson. They're here to help. Sarah tried to smooth down her hair and adjust her hospital gown. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting visitors. Marcus, you didn't tell me you had spoken to these gentlemen. Blackwood stepped forward with a warm smile. Mrs. Williams, please don't worry about appearances. I'm Richard Blackwood, and I'm here because your son impressed me greatly with his determination and love for you. As Dr. Peterson examined Sarah and reviewed her medical charts with her primary physician, Blackwood sat in the chair beside her bed and listened as she told him about their situation. She spoke about her husband's death, their financial struggles, and her fears about leaving Marcus alone in the world. I've tried so hard to be strong for him, Sarah said, tears flowing down her cheeks. But I'm scared. I'm scared of dying and leaving my boy with nothing. He's been taking care of everything since I got sick, selling newspapers after school, managing our bills, even cooking dinner. No 12-year-old should have to carry that burden. Blackwood listened intently, occasionally asking questions about their circumstances. He learned that Marcus had been accepted into the gifted program at school before his mother got sick, but had to drop out to work and help with medical appointments. The boy was clearly intelligent and driven, but his potential was being limited by their circumstances. After an hour of examination and consultation, Dr. Peterson returned with the attending physician. His expression was serious, but not without hope. Mrs. Williams, your case is complex, but it's not hopeless. Dr. Peterson explained. You need immediate surgery followed by an aggressive treatment plan, but with the right approach, we could see significant improvement. The surgery alone will cost approximately $60,000, and the follow-up treatments could run another $100,000 over the next year. The numbers hit Sarah like a physical blow. Even with Blackwood's presence in the room, the reality of their situation felt overwhelming. Blackwood stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Marcus watched him nervously, trying to read the billionaire's expression. After several minutes of silence, Blackwood turned back to face the room. Dr. Peterson, if Mrs. Williams receives the surgery and treatment you've recommended, what are her chances of full recovery? With immediate intervention, I'd estimate a 75% chance of complete remission. Dr. Peterson replied. Sarah is still young and strong enough to handle the treatment, but time is critical. Blackwood nodded thoughtfully. And if she doesn't receive treatment? Without surgery, she has perhaps 2 weeks, maybe 3 at most. Marcus felt the room spinning around him. Hearing the timeline stated so bluntly made everything feel more real and terrifying. Blackwood pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Jennifer, I need you to contact our legal department and set up a meeting for this afternoon. Also, call the foundation office and tell them we have an emergency case that needs immediate attention. He paused, listening to her response. Yes. I understand the board meeting is important, but this takes priority. When he finished the call, Blackwood turned to address the family. Mrs. Williams, Marcus, I want to be completely transparent with you about what I'm thinking. Your situation reminds me of my own childhood in many ways. My mother also struggled with medical bills she couldn't afford, and I remember feeling helpless watching her suffer. Sarah and Marcus listened intently as Blackwood shared parts of his personal story they had never read in any newspaper article. When I was 15, my mother needed emergency surgery that we couldn't afford. A local businessman, not nearly as wealthy as I am now, helped pay for her treatment. He never asked for anything in return. And he probably saved her life. That experience taught me something important about the responsibility that comes with financial success. Blackwood paused, choosing his words carefully. I'm prepared to cover the full cost of your medical treatment, Mrs. Williams. But I want to propose something more comprehensive than just paying your medical bills. Marcus's eyes widened with disbelief. Sir, are you saying you'll pay for my mother's surgery? Not just the surgery, Marcus. I want to ensure that both of you have the support you need to build a better life. Here's what I'm proposing. My foundation will cover all medical expenses related to your mother's treatment. Additionally, we'll provide a living allowance to cover your basic needs while she recovers. Sarah began crying, overwhelmed by the generosity of the offer. Mr. Blackwood, I don't know what to say. How could we ever repay you for such kindness? There is something I'd like in return, Blackwood said. But it's not money. Marcus, I want you to return to school immediately and focus on your education. I want you to pursue your dream of becoming a doctor, and when you're ready for college, my foundation will provide a full scholarship. Marcus felt like he was dreaming. You mean I can go back to school? I can still become a doctor? More than that, Blackwood continued. I want to offer you a mentorship program. During summer breaks and holidays, you'll have the opportunity to intern at various medical facilities and research centers that my companies work with. You'll get hands-on experience that most pre-med students never have access to. The room fell silent as the family processed the magnitude of what was being offered. It was far beyond anything Marcus had dared to hope for when he sat in that lobby the night before. Dr. Peterson stepped forward. If this arrangement is acceptable to everyone, I'd like to schedule Mrs. Williams' surgery for tomorrow morning. We've already lost valuable time, and I don't want to delay any longer. Sarah looked at her son, then at Blackwood. I don't understand why you're doing this for us. We're strangers to you. Blackwood smiled. Mrs. Williams, success means nothing if you can't use it to make a positive difference in the world. Your son showed incredible courage and determination last night. He sat in my lobby for hours, not because he was entitled to help, but because he was desperate to save someone he loves. That kind of character is rare, and it deserves to be nurtured. As they discussed the details of the treatment plan and the arrangements for Marcus's education, word began to spread throughout the hospital about the billionaire's presence. Nurses and staff members whispered among themselves about the mysterious boy who had somehow convinced one of the most powerful men in the country to personally visit the hospital. Jennifer arrived with several legal documents and began explaining the foundation's procedures for cases like this. She was efficient and thorough, ensuring that all the necessary paperwork was completed properly. Mr. Blackwood, Jennifer said quietly, the media has gotten word that you're here. There are several news trucks gathering outside, and reporters are asking questions about why you're visiting the hospital. Blackwood frowned. He preferred to keep his charitable activities private, but he realized that this story might become public whether he wanted it to or not. Marcus, how do you feel about the possibility of this story being in the news? Blackwood asked. I can try to keep it private, but once word gets out, it might be difficult to control. Marcus looked at his mother, then back at Blackwood. Sir, if telling our story might help other families in similar situations, then I think we should share it. Maybe other people will be inspired to help others the way you're helping us. Blackwood was once again impressed by Marcus's maturity and thoughtfulness. That's very wise thinking, Marcus. Perhaps we can use this as an opportunity to launch a broader initiative to help families facing medical financial crises. As the day progressed, the surgery was scheduled, and the necessary pre-operative preparations began. Sarah's medical team worked quickly to prepare her for the procedure, while Blackwood's legal team finalized the arrangements for long-term support. That evening, as Marcus sat beside his mother's bed, she reached for his hand. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. What you did took incredible courage. Your father would be proud too. Marcus squeezed her hand. "Mom, tomorrow, everything is going to change. You're going to get better, and I'm going to become the doctor I always wanted to be. We're going to help other families just like Mr. Blackwood helped us." Outside in the hospital corridor, Blackwood stood with Dr. Peterson discussing the surgery planned for the morning. "Richard, in my 40 years of medicine, I've seen a lot of generous gestures. But what you're doing for this family goes far beyond just paying for treatment, Doctor," Peterson said. "You're investing in that boy's future in a way that could impact generations." "That's exactly the point," Blackwood replied. "Marcus has the intelligence, drive, and character to become an exceptional doctor. But more importantly, he has the personal experience to understand what his patients are going through. That combination could make him truly special in the medical field." As the evening wore on, news vans continued to gather outside the hospital. Social media began buzzing with speculation about why the reclusive billionaire was spending so much time at a public hospital. Some reporters tried to get information from hospital staff, but the administration had quickly implemented strict privacy protocols. Meanwhile, Marcus spent his last night before his mother's surgery writing in a journal that Blackwood had given him. The billionaire had suggested that Marcus document his experiences and thoughts throughout this journey, both as a way to process his emotions and as a potential inspiration for others facing similar challenges. In his journal entry that night, Marcus wrote, "Tomorrow, my mother might be saved, and my whole life might change. A week ago, I thought I was going to lose everything. Now I have hope for a future I never imagined possible. I promise to work harder than anyone else to deserve this chance. And someday, I'll help other kids the way Mr. Blackwood helped me." Maturity and perspective that impressed him even more. This wasn't just about getting money for his mother's treatment. Marcus was thinking about how he could make a difference in the world. "That's a noble goal, Marcus. The world needs more doctors who understand what it's like to struggle." As Marcus walked home through the quiet streets, he felt a mixture of hope and anxiety. The billionaire had agreed to visit his mother, but that didn't necessarily mean he would help pay for her treatment. Still, it was more progress than Marcus had made in weeks of trying to figure out how to save his mother's life. When he arrived at their small apartment, Marcus sat down at the kitchen table and wrote a letter to his mother, explaining what had happened that evening. He wanted to prepare her for the possibility that Richard Blackwood might visit the hospital the next day, but he also didn't want to get her hopes up too high in case nothing came of the meeting. The clock on the wall ticked past 2 in the morning as Marcus finally went to bed. But sleep eluded him. Tomorrow would determine whether his desperate gamble had paid off, or whether he would have to watch his mother die because he couldn't afford to save her life. A desperate boy asked for help. The billionaire's next move shocked the world. Final. The surgery lasted 6 hours. Marcus sat in the waiting room with Blackwood, who had surprisingly decided to stay throughout the entire procedure. Jennifer had rescheduled all of the billionaire's meetings for the day, something that shocked everyone in his company. Richard Blackwood never canceled important business meetings for personal reasons. Yet here he was, sitting in a hospital waiting room with a 12-year-old boy he had met just 2 days earlier. "Mr. Blackwood, you don't have to stay here," Marcus said for the 3rd time. "I know you have important things to do." "Marcus, there's nothing more important than being here right now," Blackwood replied firmly. "Your mother is fighting for her life, and you shouldn't have to wait alone." During the long hours of waiting, Blackwood learned more about Marcus's life. The boy told him about school, his dreams of medical research, and his plans to help other families facing medical crises. The more they talked, the more convinced Blackwood became that his investment in this young man would yield extraordinary returns for society. Dr. Peterson finally emerged from the operating room, still wearing his surgical scrubs. His expression was tired but hopeful as he approached them. "The surgery was successful," he announced. "We were able to remove the primary tumor completely, and the cancer hadn't spread as much as we initially feared. Mrs. Williams is stable and recovering in the ICU." Marcus felt his knees go weak with relief. Blackwood put a steadying hand on his shoulder as tears of joy streamed down the boy's face. "Can I see her?" Marcus asked. "She's still under anesthesia, but you can sit with her," Dr. Peterson said. "The next 24 hours will be critical, but I'm optimistic about her recovery." As Marcus rushed toward the ICU, Blackwood pulled Dr. Peterson aside. "Doctor, I want to make sure she has access to the best possible care throughout her treatment. Whatever resources are needed, make sure she gets them. Richard, I have to ask, why are you doing this? I mean, your generosity is remarkable, but there's something more to this story." Blackwood was quiet for a moment, then shared something he rarely talked about. "When I was Marcus's age, my mother was dying, and a stranger helped save her life. I promised myself that if I ever became successful, I would pay that kindness forward. But Marcus is special. That boy has something rare. Genuine compassion, combined with fierce determination. He's going to change the world someday." While Marcus sat beside his mother's bed in the ICU, news of the story finally broke. A hospital employee had spoken to a reporter, and within hours, the story of the desperate boy and the billionaire's response was being broadcast across the country. The headline on the evening news read, "Billionaire Richard Blackwood pays for young boy's mother's cancer surgery after he waits all night in corporate lobby." Social media exploded with reactions to the story. Some people praised Blackwood's generosity, while others questioned why such an act of basic human decency was considered newsworthy. The story sparked a national conversation about healthcare costs and the responsibility of the wealthy to help those in need. Marcus was unaware of the media attention as he held his mother's hand and watched her breathing steadily with the help of medical equipment. When she finally woke up 12 hours after surgery, her first words were, "Did that really happen? Or was I dreaming?" "It really happened, Mom," Marcus said softly. "Mr. Blackwood saved your life. Mr. Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood saved your life." Over the following weeks, Sarah's recovery exceeded all expectations. The aggressive treatment plan was working, and her strength was gradually returning. Marcus had returned to school, where his teachers were amazed by his renewed focus and enthusiasm for learning. Blackwood visited them regularly, and Marcus began to see him almost as a father figure. The billionaire was impressed by how quickly Marcus absorbed complex medical concepts during their discussions about Sarah's treatment and recovery. 3 months after the surgery, Blackwood made an announcement that shocked the business world. At a press conference, he revealed the establishment of the Marcus Williams Foundation, a new charitable organization dedicated to helping families facing medical financial crises. "This foundation is named after a young man who taught me something important about courage and determination," Blackwood explained to the assembled reporters. "Marcus Williams showed me that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply ask for help when you need it most." The foundation would provide not just medical financial assistance, but also educational support for children whose academic progress was being affected by family medical crises. The initial funding was $50 million from Blackwood's personal fortune. Marcus, now healthy and back in advanced classes, was invited to speak at the foundation's launch event. Standing at the podium in front of hundreds of people, including politicians, business leaders, and media representatives, he delivered a speech that brought many to tears. "6 months ago, I thought I was going to lose my mother and that my dreams of becoming a doctor were impossible," Marcus began. "I learned that sometimes you have to take risks and ask for help, even when it seems hopeless. Mr. Blackwood didn't just save my mother's life. He saved both of our futures," he continued. "But this foundation isn't just about my family. There are thousands of kids like me who are watching their parents suffer because they can't afford medical treatment. No child should have to choose between their education and taking care of their family. No parent should have to die because they can't afford to live." The speech was viewed millions of times online and became a rallying cry for healthcare reform. Marcus became a national symbol of the intersection between poverty and medical care in America. As promised, Blackwood provided Marcus with unprecedented educational opportunities. During summer breaks, he interned at leading research hospitals, working alongside some of the most brilliant medical minds in the country. His experiences there only strengthened his determination to become a doctor who understood the human side of medicine, not just the technical aspects. Sarah's health continued to improve dramatically. Within a year, she was declared to be in complete remission. She found work as a patient advocate at the same hospital where she had been treated, helping other families navigate the complex world of medical care and insurance. The Marcus Williams Foundation grew rapidly, helping hundreds of families in its first year. Blackwood established chapters in major cities across the country, each one staffed by people who understood firsthand what it meant to face impossible medical bills. 5 years later, Marcus graduated as valedictorian from the city's most prestigious high school. His acceptance speech at graduation was broadcast nationally, as his story had made him something of a celebrity in educational and medical circles. When I was 12 years old, I sat in a corporate lobby all night because I didn't know what else to do, Marcus told his fellow graduates. I learned that sometimes the most impossible situations can lead to the most incredible opportunities. Each of you has the power to change someone's life, just like Mr. Blackwood changed mine. Blackwood, now in his late 50s, watched the graduation from the front row with tears in his eyes. Beside him sat Sarah, healthy and radiant, beaming with pride at her son's achievements. That fall, Marcus entered Harvard University on a full scholarship from the Blackwood Foundation, majoring in biomedical engineering with a focus on cancer research. His goal was to develop more affordable cancer treatments that could help families avoid the financial devastation that his own family had faced. During his sophomore year at Harvard, Marcus made international headlines when he published a research paper proposing a new approach to cancer treatment that could reduce costs by 60% while maintaining effectiveness. The paper was co-authored with Dr. Peterson, who had become his mentor, and was considered groundbreaking by the medical community. The research caught the attention of pharmaceutical companies worldwide. But Marcus insisted that any treatment developed from his work must be made available at cost to families who couldn't afford standard treatments. Blackwood continued to be actively involved in Marcus's education and development. The two had developed a close relationship that went far beyond benefactor and recipient. Blackwood had never had children of his own, and Marcus had become like a son to him. On the 10th anniversary of their first meeting, Marcus, now a senior at Harvard, gave a speech at a gala dinner for the Marcus Williams Foundation. The foundation had helped over 10,000 families and had become one of the most respected healthcare charities in the country. 10 years ago, a desperate 12-year-old boy asked one of the most powerful men in America for help, Marcus said to the audience. That man could have ignored me, had security escort me out, or simply written a check and moved on with his life. Instead, he chose to invest in a future he might never see, in a young person he had no reason to believe in. Marcus paused, looking directly at Blackwood, who was sitting at the head table. Mr. Blackwood didn't just give my family money. He gave us hope, opportunity, and a chance to pay it forward. Today, my mother is healthy and happy, working to help other families facing medical crises. I'm about to graduate from one of the world's best universities, and I've already begun research that could help make cancer treatment affordable for everyone. The audience gave Marcus a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. As the applause died down, Marcus delivered his closing remarks. The real shock wasn't that a billionaire helped a desperate boy. The real shock was what that act of kindness created. It created a movement, a foundation, and thousands of success stories. But most importantly, it created a future where asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's the first step toward changing the world. As Marcus concluded his speech and walked off the stage, Blackwood stood and applauded along with everyone else in the room. The billionaire realized that his decision to help one desperate boy had indeed shocked the world, but not in the way anyone could have predicted. It had created a ripple effect of compassion and opportunity that would continue for generations to come. Marcus was now just months away from beginning medical school, with plans to specialize in oncology and medical research. His journey from a desperate 12-year-old selling newspapers to a Harvard graduate conducting groundbreaking cancer research had become one of the most inspiring stories of the decade. The boy who had once asked for help had learned to help himself, and in doing so, had inspired countless others to believe that no dream is too big and no situation too hopeless when people are willing to reach out and lift each other up.